Which I think is interesting that you go through your Hollywood, your acting career, and then within that you find a way to bounce back into teaching, but now you're teaching others about the industry, but not just other people. You're teaching like at-risk youth to help redirect them away from street life, away from gang activity.
To allow them to see something different than what they're used to seeing. The top reason these kids join gang is because they're looking for a sense of family, sense of belonging, a sense of community. It's not because, you know, they think it's cool. It's just that's the only sense of family they have. And so what other people may show or tell you is success, or even, you know, or your industry tells you is success, like what's success to you? You know what I mean? Right. You wanted to do A, B, and C, you're doing that. Why doesn't that make you happy? Because you're taking on all these ideals of what success is, and there's no greater feeling than you get is when you help someone selflessly and expect nothing back. Nothing feels like that. No car is fast enough, no house is big enough to give you the feeling of fulfillment you get to when you give back and expect nothing back.
Because again, coming from small town like Bakersfield, and then you now are in Hollywood, and like the lights are now turned at you. How does that affect your life? How does that change your?
I mean, it changed it completely. It changed the course of my life. You know, I don't think I could have ever imagined this. And then, you know, whatever anyone thinks of my career, I've been able to do some pretty amazing things. You know, it's a long way to go, but you know, if it's over tomorrow, I'm truly blessed and thankful to God for the things that I was able to be a part of and accomplish. So, you know, again, I didn't go to school as a something to fall back on. That's what I was planning to do. So to end up at that beach and the chain of events that happened after that, with me sort of organically falling into this independent filmmaking process, which has been my foundation with the, you know, the number of films that I produced on my own, as well as the bigger productions, the Eve Show and the, you know, Fool's Gold and the Three Strikes and all those things that are able, you know, it completely shifted the course of my life. And it just took on a whole new, you know, just a whole new world and a whole new, you know, vantage point. And like I said, I was thrust into that, no seatbelt, but soon after, oh shit, I put my seatbelt on. This going hella fast. And this is a crazy ass course like I hear. There's a lot of traffic and a lot of crazy people. Let me lock my doors, roll my windows up, and put my seatbelt on. And so, but, you know, I've always been, you know, just a humble person and appreciative of everything that has came my way. So, you know, it never changed, you know, me and my core and who I am. So I've always been excited about every step that I was able to take, and the people that I've met and the people I've able to work with. It's always a big deal. It's still a big deal today. It's still exciting for me today when I go out and make an independent film. And I think that has kept me in a space that's, you know, it's kept me grounded and kept me in a happy place, because I know a lot of, you know, peers and friends, and you hear about some celebrities, which I mention all the time, you know, you're like, man, I wish I could have their life. And on Tuesday and then on Thursday, they kill themselves. You're like, whoa, like, wait a minute.
Yeah, you know?
And yeah. And so if you know, you lose yourself easily in this business, and, you know, and feel like death is the only way, you know what I mean, to get yourself back or get out of it. And so you have to, you know, you have to be aware, and you have to sort of just embrace your journey, because when you start trying to hop off of your personal journey and get onto others, and then you're on others' agendas, then you find yourself in very negative space, very unhappy space. I've been blessed to be able to avoid that and just sort of, you know, stay in my lane, stay grounded in what I do. And it's a much longer path and journey, but a much more rewarding and happy and stable path, you know, and I choose that every time.
Yeah, no, I tell people often, like, for me, a blessing is having this magazine. So I'm able to talk to people in different areas of life. And it's the reason I love asking the question of, like, you know, what was childhood like? Like, what's life like outside of what you do? You don't want these people's lives. Like, it's I tell people, like, you want their fame and their success story. You don't want the process.
Right.
Because the process is rarely ever a pretty situation. And it's like, it's hard. There's struggles, there's homelessness, there's, you know, I didn't eat for like 3 or 4 days at a time, or, you know what I mean? And it's like, everyone sees where it's at now, and it's like, oh, I wish I had this house. And it's like, dude, they're miserable.
And, right.
Like,
and you're trying to fill up stuff by, you know, a second kitchen and a third kitchen, but it doesn't work.
Right. It's empty. And people say, I want that life. No, you don't. You don't know what that life entails. So,
and that's so on point and so true, man. And you have to, you know, like I said, you have to figure out what success is for you and what makes you happy, and don't waver from that because of what other people may show or tell you is success, or even, you know, or your industry tells you is success. Like, what's success to you? You know what I mean? Right. You wanted to do A, B, and C, you're doing that. Why doesn't that make you happy? Because you're taking on all these ideals of what success is, and it's all BS. You gotta stand in, you know, who you are, what you want, what you believe in.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you said that. Because it's a conversation that I have often, but it's just like, no, like, I don't want anyone else's life. Let me figure it out. Let me figure out mine. Like, I don't want nothing to do with yours. Like, as long as I'm good, we cool. Like, enjoy yours. Which I think is interesting that you go through your Hollywood, your acting career, and then within that, you find a way to bounce back into teaching, but now you're teaching others about the industry, but not just other people. You're teaching, like, at-risk youth to help redirect them away from street life, away from gang activity. One, how did that happen? And why was it important to address that generational group?
I think, you know, I was, you know, I'm a bit different, and I'm a giving person. That's just who I am by nature. I'm a Rotarian. And so, you know, our motto is service above self. So we look to see how we can help and how we can heal and what we can do for others. And once I joined the Santa Monica Rotary, it just took on a whole nother wave, because I was looking at all these people who were doing all these amazing things, and they were selfless. You know what I mean? And these are folks are from both ends of the spectrum. Either they were really wealthy and they can choose to be somewhere every Friday being fed grapes on some exotic island. You know what I'm saying? But they said, no, I'm gonna be here brainstorming this group, figuring out how I can help communities. And then the other spectrum of folks who, no, I'm not wealthy. This is not a wealthy group. You know, I have prioritized this. I could be saving to go on a vacation, but I'm setting aside and donating, giving my time, because it's important to me. So you have this mix of people, and that, along with my natural instincts, sort of moved me to do what else can I do? And ultimately, what it led to is, you know, me taking, you know, my God-given gift of filmmaking, entertainment, and my love. As I said, I was going to school to teach for, you know, youth and teaching and helping, and combining those two to allow my entertainment to have a social impact on youth, you know, and that's how I give back, and that's how I want to push the world forward. And a lot of people, you know, it's a big, you know, task to take on, but, you know, if I could just change 1, 10, 100, 1,000 or more youth, then we would have changed their lives and possibly changed the course of the world by continuing to build them up. Because a lot of these kids are, you know, they're born into situations to where they're forced to choose between bad and worse, right? With worse paying more money, you know what I mean? So they don't have the option. So my company, Left to Bang Entertainment, it's a mentorship through entertainment. And we want to be that third option, that fourth option, that fifth option for them, to allow them to see something different than what they're used to seeing. The top reason these kids join gang is because they're looking for a sense of family, sense of belonging, a sense of community. It's not because, you know, they think it's cool. It's just that's the only sense of family they have. And so we want to provide that and be that sense of family, because as I always say, given the option to choose between shooting movies and shooting guns, these kids will choose shooting movies every time. And that's what we're going to allow them. And we do that through entertainment, Hollywood, the allure of celebrity, and that's the icing. But once you cut into that cake, there's just layers and layers and layers of mentorship. And the program has been going well, and it's, you know, people say, oh, that's great, you're doing that. It's great, you know, I commend you for that. But people don't understand, there's no greater feeling than you get is when you help someone selflessly and expect nothing back. Nothing feels like that. No car is fast enough, no house is big enough to give you the feeling of fulfillment you get to when you give back and expect nothing back. And so I say that to say I get just as much or more out of it than these kids do that I'm you know, seeking out to help. It's just an amazing feeling. And I think that's what's missing in a lot of these a lot of people's lives, and specifically the entertainment. You know, they're so focused on what they can do for themselves, and, you know, getting another house for themselves and another job for themselves and getting bigger and getting to this, and they get it all, and it's just the most emptiest feeling ever in the world. You know what I mean? When if they channel not even all of that energy, and some of that energy towards something that they're passionate about, something that pushes the world forward, they will find that that house doesn't feel so empty anymore. And, you know, that's just sort of where I'm at in my life, man. I can't imagine, you know, not, you know, doing anything moving forward without it having a social impact. That's just, that's where I'm at.
Yeah. I feel like in general, that's what we should do. Like everything that you do should be something that's going to benefit the generation after you. Like you should always be leaving a legacy of something. If not, it's just you're existing selfishly, and that doesn't do anything for anyone else. So I love the fact that you do that. One, I never knew what Rotary did, so I always heard of them. I knew they were always in the community. I knew they were always involved in, just for me, like little league sports, stuff like that. I just never knew what they specifically did. So I'm glad you.
And I didn't either till like a few years ago. You know, it was just this, you know, you seen the sign, like they were sort of sponsored the little league sports. You didn't know. And then it was just a bunch of old, you know, white men, which it used to be. But now that has changed and it's evolving. And, you know, they are, again, these people could be anywhere doing anything, but every Rotary meets once a week and they brainstorm and powwow and are active in helping the communities here, building water wells in Africa, everything from A to Z, man. And it's just inspiring.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into a local one here in Atlanta and get involved in that. I think that's dope.
They'll let you visit, fill it out, see what you think, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. You took your program a step further and you brought on the help of other actors and like high influence people. Was it easy bringing them on board once you kind of explained your program to them?
The ones who came, you know, you know what I mean? And people expect the whatever answer, but, you know, I don't protect or hide anything for anybody. Like if there's something that you could do for youth, you know, carve out 5-10 minutes to do it. That said, the folks who came, you know, I appreciated their time. There's nothing more valuable we have than our time. So I was appreciative of that. And so a number of my friends and peers said, absolutely. You know what I mean? Yeah. Anthony Anderson came through, Craig Robinson came through, JB Smoove came through, Vivica Fox came through, Doug Ellen, creator of Entourage, came through, Andy Tennant, who did Hitch, you know, $500 million movie with Will Smith, came through. Who else? Kel came through for me. So there was a lot of people, you know, Meg Deloach, creator of Family Reunion on Netflix right now, Ralph Farquhar from the Proud Family. So there was a lot of people who were like, yo, absolutely, I think this is cool. And then the whole thing is, you know, you don't have to have time to do a whole program, but, you know, if you can help in any way, be that your time, because that's everything. Like these, being able to talk to one was in, you know, out of Fresno, and she was an improv, and that was her life. And so to be able to meet JB Smoove, who did, you know what I mean, their show, it was like, they were like blown away. You know what I mean? The one guy, his background, one of my students, was The Office, right? Like his Zoom background was The Office. So when Craig Robinson came on, he was like, you gotta be kidding me, you know? And what we don't understand is you can say 2 or 3 words to a youth that you won't remember next week, but they'll remember it for a lifetime, and it'll fuel them, you know? Absolutely. So it was, you know, I'm super appreciative to those who, you know, came on took 5-10 minutes out to say what's up to these youth. It meant everything to me and everything to them. But, you know, there were a number of others who didn't come on, and, you know, maybe they'll make time in the future, maybe they won't, but it's just extremely important, you know what I mean? But those are the ones who, you know, sometimes they're empty inside, and, you know what I mean? Like, there's like, I can't come on that, you know, for whatever reason, they're not, you know, they're not ready. They don't,
not there.
And you know what I mean? They're dealing with their own things as to why they don't instantly get like, absolutely. Like, you know what I mean? If I can, that can help. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you started your own project last year during quarantine, which is the Adam and Eve project.
Yeah.
Which I love the concept of it. I don't know how, I know it says that it brings up some things of her past. I just don't know where that takes it. So one, what made you go into that film? And because military people, no disrespect to the military folks that I love, they do have trust issues. Like it's a big thing. Like there's a lot of reconditioning they have to go through when they come back into society, because all that was stripped going into boot camp. So when you make this movie, like how, one, where did the idea come from for you? And then how did you facilitate that into a relationship aspect? And then again, twists and turns and all hell breaks loose.
I'm excited about this film, Adam and Eve, you know, and why I decided to do it is just that, you know, again, it lends to my journey in Hollywood, which is the less travel, but it allows me to do what I want, when I want, how I want, you know, and it's an amazing thing, you know what I mean? Most people, they need the, you know, they need the acknowledgement of, you know, this exec or that exec to feel fulfilled and feel successful. And I don't. I know that it's a blessing for me to be able to go out and make this film. And because of my independent background, it wasn't contingent upon anyone but myself figuring out, okay, how do we shoot and stay safe in COVID? And once I figured that out, I moved forward. And, you know, this film is different. It's a drama. It's a love story. And like you said, it deals with the background of Adam, who I play, having these trust issues and also having the side effects of being, in the service and doing that. And so he comes home and, he finds the love of his life, and there's all, without giving any things away, there's all these things and these barriers and obstacles that prevent him from opening up and living happily ever after. And the young lady Eve, who he falls in love with, she also has a past of things that she's trying to shape. And so it just becomes sort of the perfect storm,
Yeah.
They love each other, but it's a lot of things that need to be dealt with. And if they're not, y'all not going nowhere no time soon.
It don't work.
Yeah.
It don't work.
So, yeah. And so it was just, it's just that I was always been a big fan of Jason's lyric back in the day with Jada Pinkett, Bokeem Woodbine, Alan Payne, and all those guys. And this film has that same tone. And a buddy of mine actually wrote a poem which incorporated elements of the film. And from that poem, I wrote a whole script and a story. Adam and Eve, man. And so it's different than what, it's not the, the high laughing, giggling, shucking and bucking and whatever that you might used to doing with me. It's a straight drama. So, but I think folks are gonna enjoy it just the same. It's a nice little roller coaster ride. I can't say too much without giving it away because it's, it's some things that happen.
Yeah, and I think it's important to show different sides of people, and I think that especially now we've hit a point in society, especially with like Black men, where it's having these conversations that are uncomfortable but are needed. Mm-hmm. So it's like we see things from a viewer standpoint on a show or on a movie or some kind of production, whatever, and then we go and have that conversation amongst our friends, which we weren't doing before, mm-hmm. because it was never presented as something that we could talk about.
Right.
So I think it's dope to have something like that where it's saying, you got to deal with yourself before you jump into relationships, because you'll bring all that baggage into this baggage and that baggage combined with your baggage, and it's just there's no room.
Yeah.
And so
and the film, I think when people see it, they're gonna be like, "Ooh," and they're not gonna know. It's gonna be mixed feelings about, like, whoa, like, it's gonna be mixed feelings. It's gonna be, some disagreements when you leave. You know what I mean? Some just pro Adam, some pro Eve, some pro them. I believe so.
Just no arguments in the car making it your fault. This is not Brian's fault. This is whatever you unpack, that was already there.
Yeah.
So I hate asking this question to people who have current things happening. What's next? Like, what do you want to do next? And ultimately, what do you want your legacy to be?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is Left to Bang Entertainment with these youth. If I can have, thousands of kids across the world, because through COVID, I was sort of forced to make it virtual online. And then I was like, discovered, wow, like, the kid doesn't have to be here in LA. They could be in Chicago, they could be in Dallas, they could be in New York, they could be in London, they could be in Africa. And so that's been, a huge aha. So I would like to grow that until it's this huge playground where youth can come and feel safe and, and positive, and learn aspects of acting, filmmaking, and whatever else they're interested in. And I would like it to be this machine to long after I'm gone, it continues to spit out jobs and educate and provide support for youth who need it, and scholarships and things like that. That's my main priority. And of course, I'm going to keep entertaining. I'm about to be back on the road. COVID sort of stopped that, working up to my first ever stand-up comedy special, which, I can guarantee will be great. You know, the material is there. It's all me. Bentley Evans and I, who Bentley created the Jamie Foxx show, was the showrunner on Martin as well, are doing a sitcom for myself together that I wrote, and we wrote together. And so we're going to be shooting 6 episodes of that next month in July.
Nice.
So I'm excited about that, my own sitcom. And then I'm starting, you know, I did a Kickstarter for my youth, a successful Kickstarter. We did in March, April, to raise some funds to support them being in person on set on this next film. So the film is untitled, but it's about me, who I don't like kids, but because of my probation, I'm forced to sort of go and help out my community service work with this youth. And, you know, they hate me, or I hate them. They hate me. And by the end of the movie, we fall in love with each other. And it's a straight comedy with heart. And so that will be after the sitcom. And
Nice.
yeah, and then so after that, I'll get into the stand-up, man. But just you know, keeping things pushing. I think one thing, when I was younger, I was like, why do I have to do, you know, wear all these hats and do all these things, you know, by myself, one hand tied behind my back, you know, with these constricting budgets. And now in 2021, I realized what a blessing and a jewel, you know, that I was given to have that, because now I'm at a point to where I can do again what I want, how I want, when I want. I don't necessarily have to wait on anyone. And when I do things with, you know, studios in Hollywood, it's on terms that are favorable to me, people I love.
Yeah, it doesn't happen often, so it's definitely a blessing.
Yeah.
I talk to many people who can't make a decision for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a blessing to be able to say, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And be okay with it.
Yeah. It's a longer, tougher road that people, they offered me the shortcuts, but I was like, no, I can't look at my kids after I do that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want that coming up with my kids in high school.
My parents are still alive. I can't do this.
Right. Yeah. You know, your daddy did what? Like, yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Never go back to Thanksgiving with peace.
Right. So I'm like, I'm not gonna get on that shortcut boat. I'm gonna keep walking. I'm just gonna go around, and then I'll meet y'all over there. Cause I don't want to pretend to be something that I'm not. That seems weird. All right, you don't want to get on the boat? Like, nah, I'm cool. I'm gonna go ahead and keep going.
I'm good. My grandma used to always say the road less traveled has less bumps in it. So it's like you just deal with it. It's a longer road. It's going to take you a bit to get there, but the satisfaction in it and the reward, it's all yours. Yeah. So it's like you're not sharing that with everybody else. It's like I see the path and I'm good.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't realize that, they just want to get to where they're going and reach their goals, but they don't understand without the journey and those highs and lows and those victories, you're supposed to relish the journey as well. It's not about just getting there. It's all these amazing things, good and some bad, that happen along that journey that fulfills you. Because when you do take your shortcuts to get there without anything to fill up, that bucket, then it's a very empty feeling. But when you have that to look back on, those highs and lows and those small victories and medium victories, that they're everything, and they provide the foundation for you to be at a certain place and happy versus at a certain place and, wanting to kill yourself.
Miserable.
Yeah.
It's a miserable world, I think. No, thank you. Hard pass.
Yeah, man. There's no shortcuts in life.
Absolutely.